Yeah. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Sam Saraswate Namaha. Shri Chandika Mahalakshmi Namaha. So let me start the way I started the UK batch as well in the morning. How many of you remember what we discussed in the last class? Mantra number 3. Nobody? यदा पश्यः पश्यते रुक्मवर्णं कर्तारमीशं पुरुषं ब्रह्मयोनिं तदा विद्वान् पुण्यपापे विधूय निरञ्जनः परमं साम्यमुपैति. Do you remember anything at all or nothing? Okay, so simple. Good evening. This mantra says, I know she's saying hello to all of you. So you all can say hello to her. She's saying hello to all of you. They are so mesmerized with my question, Padmaji. So that is where they are lost. So I was asking, do you remember the meaning of the mantra number 3 that we discussed last class? So the meaning in summary, it says, when the knowing individual has the vision of an intelligent creator, the Lord, the Purusha, the Brahman, which is the source of all, right? So how do you define Purusha?
Like formless, colorless.
Super. That's as simple as it can get, right? So great. Continue. What else?
Main superior knowledge, super knowledge, the
Fine.
imperishable.
Correct.
Supreme.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then what else?
Absolutely stainless, not tarnished.
Correct. See,
Not even tarnished.
see, you think that this is a difficult topic. It is easy to understand. What else?
And infinite and unaffected.
Yes.
And
Beautiful. I mean, this is one of the best response I've got. Yeah, go ahead.
And main source of knowledge, like he has the source, like
Correct. Which means that there is no cause and effect as far as Purusha is concerned. Everything else, this happened, or we are manifestation of something. So there is something, there is a cause, and we are the effect. Whereas in case of Purusha, there is nothing preceding a Purusha or Brahman.
Yeah, basically eternal, no beginning, no end.
Correct. All pervasive.
All pervasive. Yeah, that is the Vishnu.
Right. What else? So you got many things. You got many things. That is what this particular mantra also is saying it. That Brahma, which is the source of Brahman, which is the source of all, shakes off both merit and demerit. So only when you shake off that merit and demerit of anything, that habit that we have, will you be uh, at par or equal with the Lord. That is when it is said that you are merging with the Lord, right? Until you keep getting trapped into the world of Maya, you will always say, "Yeah, I'm happy now. I'm depressed. I'm unhappy. She is poor. I'm rich. This is white, fair, and I'm dark." You always keep that relative benchmarking all your life. I wish I would have gotten the same money that she's getting or he's getting, right? They live in a bigger home. See, my neighbor, they don't have any problems. They're so happy. We always keep doing this comparison. So that theory of relativity is only in the realm of us mortal souls who are caught into the Maya. So the mantra says the Lord is designated as having a golden hue, which means the nature of knowledge is eternally inherent in him, just as the color of gold is something inherent in it. Right? So it also, in a different sense, points to the self-luminous nature of God. If you take moon, do you know where you get the light from for the moon?
It is the reflected light of the sun.
Correct. So, by extension, where do we get the light from? From the sun. Is the sun getting from somewhere else?
That's
The
just
answer
the
is no.
source of
So
light.
that is what it is. The self-luminous
But
uh, nature, and the characteristics are imperishable. Like if you're talking of any light source that you know that you have created, you take a bulb, man-made. Bulb has a life. After some X amount of hours, it's going to conk off, right? You light a lamp with the ghee or anything else as a source. After some time, it's going to get consumed and get over. Can you talk of the same of the sun? Ah, so that is where you'll be able to. I'm trying to make it in a very simple fashion so that you get over that hump of saying these are all very abstract things that I don't understand. I cannot relate to. So now you'll be able to, with this simpler explanation, even if there are some technical fallacies in the way I'm explaining it, it might open up that light bulb in you in saying, okay, now I'm getting the essence of our system, what we are talking about. And I gave a very good example, and in the morning class, before I forget, I want to say that here also. Uh, we are getting trapped into a Maya world for many reasons. Uh, uh, the source of information that we have learned through our childhood, through our system, is predominantly through our parents, grandparents, or through the schools. But what do you learn in schools? You don't learn these things in schools. You learn only A for apple, B for boy, science, math, languages, drawing skills, soft skills. They never teach these things. Originally, this is what was taught in the schools. We have moved far away from that into the Macaulay system. The reason why I never use the word hatred, but it's short of hatred to that transformation that India has done, which we are unable to get out of that till date. And I'm not trying to make a political statement here. If you really analyze today, if you watch the Indian television, it's all about Ram Mandir. But the beauty is, as much as you hear people so openly celebrating, you f- you will also see equal amount of people just commenting about it as if they're commenting about Modi. That's how corrupt their mind is, their system is. They forget that late in the 80s and 90s, you would be arrested if you use the term Ram openly in public. That's how bad it was. And though in good old days, at the time of independence, when Gandhi and everybody was there, all of those people were openly saying, "Hey Ram," etc., etc. That was not bad at that time. It is from the 80s that it has taken a complete downward turn till Modi became the prime minister. Now, I'm not trying to take sides or give a political discourse here, but the fact is, I keep thinking, what makes that one person talk rubbish like that? Yeah, there is that evil in that person that is coming out, and but why is it coming out? That is a more important question to me than crucifying that person. It is coming out because we haven't done enough. We haven't put enough effort to disseminate this knowledge that is available so easily, and we will find it difficult to disseminate the knowledge with more and more people thinking that this is too big and too exhaustive for us to understand. So When I asked a question, it was so easy for both of you to answer so much. It's a matter of time. Bhuvana is in the listening mode, that's why she's not opening and talking, because they're driving or they're in transit. But it is easy for you to answer these questions. And that is how you make a beginning. You never said, I don't remember. You never just gave some one off answer. You were able to think and come up with more and more and more and more points. That means you are able to assimilate the knowledge. It's not difficult. So here, the characteristics you said imperishable, right? Which is also the unaffected color of gold. You don't see any dag on, you say dag on Chandamama, etc. You've been taught like that, which is reflecting to those dark spots on the moon. But it's not a dag. But in sun, you don't say that, right? So the golden hue, which is unaffected color, it is also said that the individual should fit that perception. That means we mortal human beings should have the ability to perceive the universal being, the Purusha. So while you describe or answer my questions, you should also be able to visualize it in a mental capacity, which is a very important first step. Now, once you are down that path, and I keep saying that as a journey, right? You start that as a journey, you start getting all the basic skills, the lower level of knowledge, and then you keep growing. And as you are showing that you are matured enough in your progress, you will learn more and more things, and that is your journey. And when you'll reach a stage in that journey where you'll pass through the forest and you'll suddenly see the light equal to thousand sun. Am I correct? So this is what the template is. If you're asking for saying what do I do and how do I embark myself on the path of moksha, so the individual is attributed the quality of knowingness, which is the knowledge of the supreme being. So go back to one of the mantras where it says, uh, uh, Shaunaka is asking sage Angirasa, what is it that I must know by which I know everything? He says you start with the lower level knowledge and then you progress yourself to the higher level knowledge. Unless you get the higher level knowledge, you are not going to be able to attain that self realization or the moksha. So, first step is you agree this is all Maya. Second step is that you understand that, yeah, you are doing it, this comparison, etc., which is keeping you in this world, but you need to make commitments and start moving up the ladder. That is a conscious effort that you have to do for yourself than somebody else doing it for you. Am I making sense? And also you use that Venn diagram concept that I've been teaching everybody that I know of. And these days I'm now making it even more and more public to an extent that I can sort of patent it. Uh, you focus on that big white spot in that Venn diagram than losing your sleep on the intersection parts. The intersection parts are very small. And as you go through your phases of life, grahasthashram, vanaprastham, etc., that intersection set should become thinner and thinner, smaller and smaller. Because you have fulfilled your duty and karma. You have made them, you have given birth to children, you have done all your responsibilities. They are in their own journey. Let them live a happy life instead of poking your nose and everything in what you're doing. Be there as a guide available and start becoming more inward. This is the very simple recommendation that is made. So if I say that, you let go of things, and I know there were initially some concerns raised by Bhuwana openly. All of you may have had the same question, but she openly discussed it. And from India also, Padmaja did the same thing. Sonalji did a little bit of that. Understand that you can put the giving up of your family duty and responsibility, etc., as the last step, not the first step. So obviously, you're not letting anybody down. You're not scaring anybody off that this woman or this man is going crazy. You can unwind and release some of the simpler aspects in life to get used to the concept of letting go. Correct? So you're giving up the duty of family or family responsibilities could be the last step, which is what I gave the example of Chittapa Swamigal in one of the class. Until then, he has done everything that he has to do. He married, he had a child, and the child got married, had grandchildren, everything he has seen. And then he said, okay, now I am in the sannyasa phase, I'm ready for it. So he was in the vanaprastha phase, and he said, now is the time for me to take sannyasa. So you don't have to be really deeply concerned. Am I doing some gross injustice, or am I taking such a big risk? That guilt feeling should go away.
And sometimes, we don't need to make a statement and tell people.
Correct.
Can done very subtly, because the moment you make a statement, they are like, oh,
Yes.
how can you say that?
Yeah.
Don't say that. Just slowly, certain things we can offload. It will come with deep prayer and sadhana. You have to talk to God to help you to do that.
Correct.
You have to tell God that this is what I want to do, and you have to help me, because that's the only place where you can talk like that and say,
Correct.
help. That helps.
Very true. And getting into the divine knowledge, spiritual knowledge is the medicine. If you put divine knowledge or spiritual knowledge, Mundaka Upanishat, for example, which is part of this, and physics, chemistry, math on the other end, which one do you think is going to guide you to the path of moksha? Obviously, the Upanishads, right? Common sense. So, if you're not even taught, obviously, you're not going to be prepared. We are all blessed to be having this class and interaction and discussing and exploring and understanding these things. Many of your ancestors may not have. They would have had a different life. They would have had a different purpose, and that is their karma. We can't make them feel guilty about it as to why you didn't teach us, or we can't make ourselves feel guilty that I've lost so many years without knowing this. Grab the opportunity when you have got it and run with it without delay, and do it in a very flawless, planned manner so that you are not taking an undue risk. So, one of the example that we can think of is I can talk about my personal experience. There was a time when I used to watch 16 hours, 17 hours news. It was so crazy that I can't just accept news from one source. I will have, using the back and favorites, I will master everything that is available in the technology, right? The technology is through the set-top box or the Apple TV or whatever the source at which you watch all this news. I will use every powerful feature available in the software, remote, etc., to quickly change channels. And so I'm like keeping a tab on all the channels, all the sources, and multitasking and working, and also watching some news in my laptop, reading my news in my laptop. It was crazy. One fine day, I said, What am I doing? There is no need for this. There is no need for you to be so up to date on all the global news to prove that you are very knowledgeable. I took a stand. I said, no more news. It's almost now 6.5 years. I have gained by taking that action, by spending more time in the topics and areas that I need to focus on. So when I say giving up or tyag, tyagam in Tamil or tyag in Hindi, I don't know what is the equivalent term in Telugu. It is not difficult. Sorry, tyagam. It's not difficult. See, I will also appreciate one aspect of language. Our ancestors or whoever is the inventor of the language were very smart. Some very keywords they have not made it different across different regions, right? Very important keywords. So there's no need for translation also.
I think it's more of an awakening. Like what I was doing, I need to give that up. So Tyagam is more like giving up something that you like. But are you saying that you liked? That is what you gave up to get. But don't you think you gained so much by giving that up?
Yeah, but I have done the tyagam of what was so near and dear to me.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. That is why I'm using the word tyagam. It is not like, yeah, I was watching CNN, but now I don't like CNN. I moved on to Al Jazeera or something else. That's not what I'm talking about. This was like an obsession. It was like a trap, that addiction. So when but at the same time, I want all of you, as you rightly said, to use the right terminology for the right context and right intent, because many people love to use Mahapariva as a brand name, and they'll say Mahapariva told you to give up coffee, so give up coffee. That's tyagam. I don't think so. He never said specifically, you give up coffee, then you'll attain moksha. The background is there was a very strong die-hard devotee that was literally addicted to watching, being by the side of Mahapariva, that he did not fulfill his family responsibilities. Single salary earner, he made his family struggle. Whatever earnings he had, he used to go and buy coffee powder because that man could not live without coffee. It was known to everybody around Mahapariva that this guy will come and he'll come with all the money spent on coffee powder stock so that he can remain here with Periva for as long as he can. And Periva laughed at him, smiled at him, and said, from now on, you're not going to be taking coffee. That's just the first step. He was not targeting coffee, but the whole notion of that addiction that I can't live without coffee.
But that money, money one, and we left the note like to let him.
No, the meeting is open. That's why I'm surprised why he's feeling that way. Meeting is open. I don't see any notification coming here.
Even for me also, it came like to let it left into the class.
It should not happen. Ask him to try again.
I was able to get in.
Huh.
Maybe better to send a link again.
No, it's not a question of link. I think let me add. So, point is that you remove yourself from that addiction, which in turn means anything that you have a desire, or which the desire grows into a greed, and that you cannot come out of it. You need to start giving up all those things one by one. Watching movies could be an addiction, digital addiction, online addiction. While we are talking of moksha, every day as technology, disruptive technology comes into effect, you don't even know. Without your knowledge, you're getting trapped into many, many things which are very addictive. And if you take the example of iPhone or Google phone, you will say, how can you live without checking those messages? How can you live without not checking that so frequently? Imagine where you were. I mean, when I came into the US, there was no cell phone with me. Prior to just coming couple of years prior, there was no email also. We have lived a life in that fashion, very happily. Actually, we are more happy then, more interacting, more personal exchange of information, etc., than what we are doing today. You are getting more and more trapped. So what is happening is that addiction uh, leads to even more binding, which you are supposed to move away from, right? So if I ask you a simple question, which I asked the morning class, what is common in this? When I'm talking of all these things, what is common? I said that we do the benchmarking, we do the comparison, we say we are happy, we are sorrow, etc. What is the common one keyword amongst all of this?
Self control.
Huh?
Self control.
No.
Discipline. Determination.
No, keep thinking. I want you to understand, that way you'll appreciate. The one common keyword is called mind. Greed, mind. Desire, mind. Now I can do hypnotism on you. I'm playing on your mind. So technically, you're allowing the Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai, and Satya Nadella's of the world. You're allowing them to control your mind. And once you're sucked in deeper and deeper. So if you can let your mind get controlled that way, why can't you condition your own mind in the direction that it needs to be? All it needs is one mindset change. So you see, even in that, the mindset is a keyword. What I said, what I did about the news channels is just the mindset change. I just said I can live without it and I'm going to do it. I was not always afraid. Oh, what if I do that? What if I lose precious time? It is the fear and the sense of guilt in everything that we have learned that is causing us to get stuck. So, which is where my reference is to the knowledge through the ancestors or parents. They have given you a foundational knowledge that you need to grow on. You should have embarked on your own journey to say, thank you, parents, for giving the foundation. Now it is my responsibility to seek more knowledge, seek all the kinds of knowledge that I need to evolve myself, and use templates like what I've shared with you, like the Sadhana Panchakam template from Adi Shankaracharya. When you're at school, you learn your science, math, and all those skills. When you're coming out, you learn other skills. As you get into the middle age and the age that we are in, you obviously are going to go after the spiritual knowledge.
One day I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it like I, I'm a little bit confused? It is like understanding. You have understood the difference and you gave up. It is not suppressing your desire and giving.
I'm very, very happy that you.
I was thinking on that same. No, when you suppress it, then it will resurface sometimes.
No, it's a very, 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 very important question, and I think we should address that head on.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Can you speak up again? Because your audio volume was going down, so I was struggling to hear. Yeah. So, what is suppression? I want to watch.
Suppress.
I want to watch, and I'm saying no, 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 no. I want to watch, and I'm saying no, 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 no. That is suppression, correct?
Yeah.
So, let us say that uh, I was doing some activity without knowledge, and I was hurting myself, right? And I was doing it because in that action I was getting some benefit, and so I didn't mind the pain and I kept doing it, right? And suddenly I say, oh, no, 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 I should not get hurt myself, I must stop doing this. And you're ignoring or taking a hit on the benefit that you were getting through that action. Then you can say that action or that thought or that action could be suppression. Now imagine you learn a better technique to do what you were supposed to do, and you learn that skill. You're surpassing the pain. You're eliminating the pain and still not giving up the benefit that you're getting. So change of action or habits or thoughts through the process of acquiring knowledge is not suppression. It is equivalent to that awakening or enlightenment that you talk about.
Uh,
Am I making the difference very clear?
yeah, but that suppression and that awakening of what I think, like you realize and you're able to change, and it's not suppression, is actually a result of a certain kind of sadhana which you have done over a period of time. Sometimes you may not realize that. Like, for example, if you're saying that you stopped the news channels at a, because you've been doing Vedas from such an early age, somewhere
It is
that
true.
has come
It is
up
true.
to make you realize that that Guru grace, what you call the grace, somewhere
Absolutely.
should got start for you to understand that. So there
Absolutely.
is another angle also, I would say, like for example, certain things will not, like for example, if I say I'm not going to get angry from tomorrow, no, you cannot do that from tomorrow. There has to be a certain kind of a sadhana, for example, meditation over a period of time, a focus. You sit down, you work on it, you pray for it, and you work on a period of time, and sometimes something will just snap. Another thing is, for example, people are very foodie, they cannot control their hunger and they will just start eating everything. No, you want to suppress that. If you just say that tomorrow I'm not going to eat this, it will still resurface. But if you start doing some fasting on certain days, you will start realizing that after some time those cravings will go down. So, like as she said, it's suppression. It's not, yes, it is to do with the mind, but to work on the mind, there has to be some kind of a sadhana which has to be done.
Super. You've hit all the right buttons. Now, to summarize, in terms of, I'm just taking that whole question of, I'm using Bhuvana's name again and again because she spoke up. It's not necessarily that I'm just giving a response to her or Padmaja, but I'm explaining everything in a fashion that you're looking at me to give a checklist. Come on, give me a checklist. There's 21 important question papers for me to get down this path without fear. So I'm saying, first is mind is the most important thing that you're trying to control, right? Because that mind is in the clutches of the whole indriyangal system which is working. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste is what is creating that impression, right? If you remember all that entire process that I explained of how you get catch impression that is stored in your memory, and that I ahankara is associated, that becomes your experience, and that is what makes you feel that you are knowledge. And slowly some people have reached a level where they think they are God. Some people like me can easily think, oh, now all of you are at my mercy and I'm changing you, I'm influenced. Absolutely not. All I'm doing is just to give knowledge or share what I know. You must validate through your own source. You must put your template of learning and absorb that process and master the process, which is absolutely working for you. The method that you will take and what Anu will take or Rekha will take is all going to be different. There cannot be a one size fits all. In principle, the concepts that we're talking about is common, but the actual tactical steps that you will take will differ, right?
Yes.
So if I'm giving an example of news channels, you can say, hey, I never watched to this news channel. So what is there for me to give up? That point is irrelevant for you.
Yeah, it
So
could be something else for somebody else.
yes. So summarizing, mind is the important one, and which is where I keep promoting what I have learned from my guru, Sri Vidya Guru, is the concept of nyasam. It is important for you to understand when we talk about body, we are so obsessed with that physical body, like, right from the childhood. We were in a co-ed school, but constantly brainwashed. Don't look at girls, don't talk to them. I had the luxury or benefit of God in I was a monitor, class monitor in all the 10 years. And in the UK India batch, there is one lady that is part of my class. She's my classmate. I was the boys monitor, she was the girls monitor. So both of us are different personalities, very very outward and very very leaders kind of personalities, and we used to talk. So she used to talk to the boys, I used to talk to the girls. So for me it was never like, what are you talking about? How can you be a sinner by talking to a girl or a boy? These kind of teachings are what I am going against, in saying they have a purpose of in an era where there was no knowledge or maturity levels. Now today it is an open world, like it's all information is available at, if you, that is what I'm talking about, suppression. If you tell mislead your children and you parent them in a way that you should not, they are not going to stop. They are going to say these people are cuckoos, they are weird. All my colleagues or my school classmates, they're all getting everything except me, so they're going to go and search for that information and knowledge elsewhere. Instead, you adapt yourself to the changing era and change the style of parenting, change the style of information and knowledge. You can make somebody get attracted to a spiritual path or a foundation at an early age without making it as a very mandatory, stressful topic. Don't apply your pattern. Every day you get up in the morning at 5, every day you do this, every day light a lamp, do this shloka. And if they ask question why shloka, and if you don't have an answer, you want them to just take it as granted. It doesn't work. If you have to acquire some knowledge to explain them and convince them in a more scientific way, do it. So it is up to us to say, I can only control things at my end. And first understand, you control your mind, you're controlling your future, your destiny in a very, very big way. Right? Simple things we don't realize. What is your source of knowledge today? Immediately you'll say Google. You're doing Google, which is Google's product, Sundar Pichai. You're going to use a laptop, which is probably a Satya Nadella, Microsoft, or Tim Cook. These three people have become your guru, Paramaguru.
Really?
Because you do Google on a topic, Satya Nadella will decide what information is shown to you upfront. A speech by Shankaracharya and a translation and original script would be probably in the 16th page. If a person like me wants to teach something and promote my product, I'll pay money to Google through campaign ads, and that will show up first. And
Yes.
you live your life. Wow, this is great content from a person with agenda, with profitability in mind. So you have to be very careful with all that stuff. And yes, I was rebellious enough to ask questions, challenge the existing mindset with a view to learn what is right. And always a tendency to go to the source knowledge. Those of you who have visited my home, you can imagine the left side of me where I'm sitting right now is a bookshelf all through the wall. Many of that is source books. I never stopped, including when I wanted to learn Samaveda. I said I want the source books. It is not easy to get that. 6 years, I never gave up. Finally, I got everything that I want in one shot. And that was gifted to me by somebody because they heard my pursuit and perseverance. They said, "You deserve this book free of cost." That books, those will be costing at least about 20,000-30,000 rupees if you go individually. And imagine, you know, uh, uh, Appaya Dikshidhar is one of the most original source for Samaveda. I went to his great grandson's house, thinking that at least he should have those books. Even if he has the original, I can take copy. That is how crazy I was. So, point is, if you put in that perseverance and effort, you will get source of knowledge, authenticate the source of knowledge, acquire that knowledge so that you take your own decisions. Don't get caught into the mindset of this is what I've been told by my grandmother or grandfather or father or mother. I'm not supposed to break out of that. That is not. You should never have a sense of guilt. When you don't have knowledge, fear is the automatic choice. Guilt is automatic choice. It comes with as a package. So, but control the mind. So, tools which I've been talking about in all the classes. What are the basic tools that you need to go down this path? Can you sum up once again?
Meditation.
Huh?
Meditation.
Wow. Even the India team also started with that answer. See how deeply that is embedded in you. Accept it. Why meditation? One of the tools that can bring your mind into control and
Control,
other
focus.
vitals into control. Focus. What else?
You just said nyasam.
Perfect.
Nyas-
Perfect.
mantra japam.
Perfect.
The consistency of practice.
No, I'm just talking of tools.
Oh, okay.
You should know. You know it already. All of you know.
Yeah.
Bhuvana must be cursing. I'm on a listening mode. I know the answer. I can say it, but I'm not able to unmute and speak. I'm talking of mantra japam, parayanam, abhishekam, archana, havanam, all of these things. So, yeah. So when you do this, you will then get to know or qualify yourself for next level of knowledge. When you practice the next level of knowledge, you will be qualifying for the much higher levels of knowledge. So anything that goes into the Shat Chakra philosophy or Kundalini yoga, etc., Nadi yoga, you will be preparing yourself to be able to understand and appreciate those topics. That is how you graduate. When we talk of the journey, the spiritual journey, it is about acquiring all this knowledge. It takes years. So let's say that you decide and you are able to take sannyasa at the age of 80, right? You are not going to be having all the tools and expertise on day one the way you need to live your life. It would take probably 16, 20, 25 years to acquire this knowledge. And that is why you start probably the middle age. You are only acquiring knowledge and you're only experimenting on a lab kind of scale for simple things. Okay, I used to go to sleep at 10 o'clock. I'm going to do 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever is good for you. Simple things that you, okay, obsession about your children, that you start poking everything in their life. Back off. These are not suppression. These are enlightened knowledge to say, Venn diagram, I am in charge of my karma, they're living their karma. You shouldn't feel that if I give up in being in their life, I am not a good mother or father. Those lack of knowledge what causes you to get stuck into certain kind of a desire and addiction. Their addiction with the kids, I've always supposed to take care of them. They must be choking.
They must be suffocated. Yeah, exactly. I was going to use it. They get suffocated. I was just saying that.
Yeah.
Leave it, you get
Yeah.
because they have a mind of their own and at a certain age and their
Exactly.
environment, yes, they are old enough to take
Correct.
their decisions.
So, to summarize, mind is a key thing. Control it using all the basic tools. Qualify yourself for the next level. When you read and educate that there are three layers, Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, believe in it, practice in it, in everything that you do. So, when you do Nyasam, those who have not learned this knowledge, they will do Nyasam, Angushtabhyamna, Tajanibyamna. They'll keep doing it for the sake of it. And some will even look at the kitchen, see if the milk is overflowing, or even somebody's at the door and doing all this stuff, right? That is not going to be effective. You cut out the time for yourself, practice all these things, look inward, go inward, and get the benefit of all these concepts. Because once you learn this, then probably somebody will teach you that for each point itself there are multiple points of nyasa. Those are the advanced classes, right? The other point which you need to learn is the whole concept of idol or picture worship is relatively new. It was never there in the original system. Okay, you see Ramayana, Ramanan Sagar's Ramayana, which is the source of original source in Kali Yuga. Do you ever see Rama worshipping any picture? Do all of you remember what he did before he said, "I'm now taking the next step towards Sri Lanka"? No.
No, he did the Sthapna of Shiva, Lord Shiva, Shivalinga.
Hmm.
Sthapna
And what
was
did he
there.
do? What did he do?
He created it.
No. What did he do after that?
He prayed to the sun.
Sun
No,
god.
that's all fine. But what did he do with the Shivalinga? He
Mm,
performed Abhisheka.
mm,
He performed Puja, Archana.
mm,
Yeah.
Right?
mm. Yeah.
Now, Shivalinga is not an idol. Shivalinga is a form and shape of Shiva as God, but in the concept of union of Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah, right.
Correct? Now, you take
Yes.
the Sri Vidya route. What is the
Yeah.
main this thing that you worship on?
Sri Vidya route, if we say it is the yoni worship.
More advanced is Sri Yantra, Sri Chakra,
Sri Vidya. Yeah,
and
Sri
in a two-dimensional. But if you take it as a three-dimensional one, it is Mahameru, right?
Mahameru.
So, what is in the Mahameru? What is the principle? At the top, again, they are in the union mode.
Angle dot.
Yeah, the dot is
It's the
both are into each other.
Bindu. It's Bindu. It's the
Both are
union.
into each other, merged.
It's union.
Correct?
Yes.
As you come down, it is evolution.
Yes.
And when the whole thing gets dissolved, they again go back into union, merge. Correct? So, if this is a very simple principle that you need to understand, then don't make somebody feel guilty to talk about these things. Everything in life is not about sex. And that whole notion about you cannot discuss all these things, you cannot even we have a public conversation, is all crap. If you are growing up, if you are at this age where your mind is matured enough and is ready to receive that knowledge, if you claim, then you should receive that knowledge in that form and shape. I'm not sure whether Anu was there at that time in the part of the research group. I don't want to name that person. When one other person got into some advanced concepts that we were researching and discussing, uh, that person quit despite thousand assurance to say, yes, I'm ready to get into the deeper aspects of our system. It is because of that one grandmother speech, maybe 2 generations ago or three, which is why I go after the Patima Sutram, right? Don't learn things by saying, oh, if you are saying this, you mean to say my Patima, my grandmother, what she's been telling me is wrong? No, she has taught you something that she knew, or the grandfather would have taught you. He has taught something that they knew. It is your responsibility in your life to grow up and learn what you need to learn. It's not about proving them wrong or proving you right. It is never about, and all of those things is what I'm saying is that you're trapped into the mind. You need to come out of the clutches of that. Explore actual knowledge through source information and through the Guru Parampara. Learn through somebody who has been down that path. If I am your teacher, it doesn't mean I know everything. If you compare me and Raghuji is probably a million times more knowledgeable than me. So he's my guru. Now, if Raghuji goes to Chittapa Swamigal may be 100 times more than Raghuji. So we all will always have something to learn till our last breath, and that is again mind. Have that open mindset. Never shut things off. Never say I'm not going to listen to this because then I'm being very disloyal to my grandmother or grandfather or my parents. That is not how you acquire knowledge. And when you shut knowledge off, you're hurting yourself in the path of enlightenment. You're hurting yourself being not able to be aware of what you need to do to progress down that path and achieve your goals. The fact that you're spending so much time every Wednesday is a commitment, it's a tyagam by itself, because you realize this path. So believe in the concept of Brahman, believe in the concept of three bodies, believe in the concept of Nyasam. Rip apart everything that you have been bracketed for your childhood. Those that knowledge was good for your childhood. As you grow up, you need to be relying on what the system says. Am I making sense? So it's not rocket science. If you go to every temple in South, you will see all the Kama Sutra positions in the temple. If it was so shameful and so sinful, why would they do that in a temple structure? So it's not everything about sex. You need to understand what a human life is, what a human life cycle is, what the evolution is, what is right, what is wrong, and many, very many aspects. And I will share a couple of things after the stopping the live stream. It's also the concept of meat, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, alcohol and non-alcohol. You need to understand what the fact is and why that system says what it says, what is the reality, what is the truth, and how things have evolved. And unless you remove yourself from the clutches and educate yourself, and acquiring knowledge doesn't mean that you are preparing yourself to be a sinner. Acquiring knowledge means you're taking a very informed step forward or progress towards what you need to do, right? If Chitapa Swamigal constantly kept getting trapped into that feeling that, and he was actually made to feel that way, because the children are not going to let go of that easily. They are not at the same level as him. So they try to make him feel guilty. How can you go when we are all here? We need you. He says that is not the truth. You have your life, you have your kids. This is your path. Lead it. I have done my part. Now it is your responsibility. I have to take care of my journey. There was no sense of guilt, and that comes through knowledge. Am I making sense? So mind is the first thing. Use all the tools that have been given to you. Then only you'll progress and you'll get the advanced level of knowledge. So when I saw all those things and then I connect, I always believed in that. Those temple structures, some of them are 5,000 years old, 2,000 years old, right? So you start with that belief that there's somebody knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than you who has done that. Try to find out why it was done. What was a temple in that age? Today, temple is for please make sure that I get a promotion at work. Please make sure that my child gets a distinction. Please make sure that they get admission or I get a job. You look at temple like a lottery center, right? If I go there and put $11 archana, I will get what I want for the rest of my life. The sad part of it. Those days when the temple was constructed, that was not the primary purpose. It was way, way more and bigger than that, right?
Well, the energy centers actually.
Yeah. And indirectly today, again, I don't want to make political. In India, whatever is happening today is taking us back into that right direction. You are not going to be made to feel guilty to say that I'm spending money to build a temple or I'm going to a temple. It may be one of the right things to do, right? So coming back to here, so the jiva that which say jivatma becomes free from all the blemishes, the grievances, attachments, sorrows, etc., and gets unified with the supreme being. That is the path where you have to understand that this transcends, this soul or this jivatma transcends to merge with the paramatma. So the keyword is mind, keyword is transcend through a path of acquiring knowledge. And it is not suppression, it is awakening or enlightenment that you're talking about. And that is how you believe that the absolute is existing. This is all Maya, and your program is charted. You may reach success in 2 years, 10 years, 5 years. It all depends on your effort and commitment and perseverance and your willingness to take step. Otherwise, what good is this knowledge? You'll keep bragging for the rest of your life. Yeah, Mundaka Upanishad, I know everything. Okay, but no means what? Have you applied that knowledge in your real life? If you have not applied, that knowledge is useless, right? If I sign off from the class and I go and get watch CNN again, this is a very theoretical discourse for publicity. Am I making sense?
Yes.
So the knowledge has to be applied. That is very important. So the when we say transcend, again that brings us to the Advaita philosophy. You are living in a world of duality, saying that this is Jivatma, that is Paramatma, and that is what it is. That is God. In Guru Ayappan temple, inside the Garbhagriha is God. That idol is God. I am not God. If you live in the path of duality, while you say that you know Advaita, you believe in non-duality, but you believe in duality, it makes no sense. You will only get a RIP after you get a visa on WhatsApp. On WhatsApp. That also not in person these days. It will be on WhatsApp. If you really want to be taking it seriously, that all these things that you're getting exposed to, you're part of a satsangam, you're part of a ashramam, it is all destined by, controlled by God. He and she, they're giving you that opportunity. Wake up. Come on, I'm putting you in that path. It is like they're getting you admitted to the school. But if you come to the school and carry that same package of fear and concern and judgment and sense of guilt, you're not going to be able to make progress. Make sense? So practice everything properly. And even in this thing, and since all of you are initiated, I can say this. Even in the Nyasam, what we are taught, you've seen, I won't take names, you're told, if you are amongst the Kula members, you do the Nyasam the way you are supposed to do in a proper way. Right?
What do you say? Sorry, I didn't get you. When you do, you are
Bijam,
what members
Bijam,
you said?
Bijam Shakti. This is a substitute and alternative method for when you are in public.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
When you are within the Kula members, you know
Yeah.
what you do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if I look at you doing that and you look at me doing that and we laugh at each other and saying what crazy person this is, without any etiquettes, it makes no sense. That means you're unfit to be in that class. Am I making sense? That is progress. That is knowledge. You don't want that knowledge through Satya Nadella and Tim Cook and Sundar Pichai. You want it through your system, your books. Until we went into this level of explanation in detail, did you ever even know all of these things are there in our scriptures? I'm not making it up. I'm just giving you knowledge from the original scripts. Correct? Commentary by Adi Shankaracharya. Not someone who is a teacher of a university or a school or a faculty that is controlled by somebody else. Right? So please understand, implement all of these things. And let's quickly go to mantra number 4. We have 7 minutes. Okay. If we get disconnected, I will share another link. Please click on that link and join if we have to just wrap something up. I don't want to rush too much, but I'll try to finish off in 7 minutes. So, mantra number 4. Prano hyeshayah sarvabhutaivim bhati vijanan vidwan bhavate nativadi atmakrida atmaratihi kriyavanesha brahmavidam varishtha. Yah means he who, sarvabhutaihi, in all beings, means not just human beings, all beings where there is life, pervades. Vibhati means pervades. Eshah means he. Eshah he is verily. Pranah, the life. Vidwan, the wise. Wise means one with knowledge and wisdom. Vijanan, knowing. Knowing what? Knowing him. Knowing about the Purusha. Ativadi. Ativadi is a very funny term. It's called the vain babbler. A vain babbler is in the literal sense, the meaning is one who merely talks of other realities of life. Merely talks. Forget the Brahman. One who has realized Brahman sees nothing else in the universe except Brahman alone. Which means once you know about the Brahman, you put your laser focus on the Brahman as the anchor of your life. And while you may be having waves of moving away from that concept with your homely responsibilities and current responsibilities in this today's world, Try to bring it back and say, okay, that's all fine. I finished cooking. Now let me get back to Brahman. I finished this. Let me get back to Brahman. I finished my shopping. Let me get back to Brahman. So that is what the meaning of vain babbler is. Okay. Na bhavate does not become. Eshaha, this Atma Kridaha, reveling in the self. You have so much knowledge that you are reveling in the self. Aramaratihi is satisfied with the self. Kriyavan, the performer of devotional practices. Brahmavidam, of the knowers of the self. Knowers is Knowers. Varishtaha, which means the foremost. So, if I have to sum up the meaning of this entire mantra, it says, He is the prana that pervades all beings. Right? He means the Purusha is the prana that pervades all beings. Knowing Him, the wise one does not become a vain babbler. Once you know about Him, you don't keep talking about all other realities of life and saying, oh, I know this is an iPhone, I know how to do a software development, I know how to create something, I know how to cook. Your focus will be to understand more and more about this Brahman, about realizing self. Everything is within you. And that is why I keep saying, many people who have heard me offline, you will understand. I take that whole three layers very seriously. And I really look at that external layer as something that is going to be discarded very soon. It's not useful. So that the physical layer is immaterial. So if I look at me or you, I will see that the second layer, which is the same in all of us, which is more important. So you pay your attention to condition that, sanitize that, purify that, educate that, and prepare that. That is the key, right? And anything else that you focus on the external layer, you can't ignore it to decay. You got to take care of it as much as it is needed, but you can't get obsessed with that at the cost of the next layer, right? So he revels in the self. He is satisfied with the self and is endowed with all virtues of devotional practices. So when I say do the mantra japa, parayanam, japam, all of that stuff, these are all those practices that you are taught. And you revel in doing that because now you've got that knowledge which many others are not blessed with. Do you think everybody got a mantra upadesha? No. Do you think everybody has this knowledge of nyasam, etc.? No. You are blessed and God has given you that path and saying, okay, I give you an opportunity in this janma to acquire and give a shot at moksha. Try to take yourself to that path as much as possible. Even if you fall short in the runway, it means you will have one more janma which will be of a very short cycle, maybe 5 years, 10 years, and then thank you. You got the visa and the release. Am I making sense? And understand the uniqueness in our system, which doesn't exist in any other system. The whole concept of birth, rebirth doesn't exist in any other system. So you are lucky to be born in this system. You're lucky to be endowed with all free knowledge of so many scriptures. You're lucky to have a Guru Parampara that is willing to transmit this knowledge. And if you don't make the most of it and you keep hanging on saying, oh, my grandmother said this, my grandfather said this, and I can't do anything, I'm scared. No, yeah, this is all good, but so I always make a joke, which I can't crack the joke on YouTube. But the last word is a very dangerous word. Whatever you're saying is good, but, right? And slowly you will realize that you're building a big butt that becomes very ugly. You don't want that. So try to take the inputs that you're learning very seriously. Put in the habit of practicing, putting it to practice as much as possible, and then only you will realize. Am I making sense? So 1 minute, I think we are almost there. We'll continue in the next class. I don't want to hold up because we already started late. Yeah.
Okay.
So take care. Have a good night. It was a pleasure teaching this class and enjoying. And the way we started it, kudos to you, both of you. When you answered so many things, that was motivating me in saying, okay, wow. So there is some this thing that's happening in the knowledge. Great. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.